Assalamualaikum, Nurul. Siapa ni? Eh, Syamil? Okey ke?
Okey, sir.
Sebab nampak my screen
Boleh nampak.
Diorang
Clear.
punya link tak? Link
Apa, sir?
hari tu yang kita buat exercise tu kan? Jawab
Aha.
can you pass it back dekat mana-mana? Dalam WhatsApp ke, dekat ni ke?
Okey, boleh? Sekejap.
Oh, dah bagi dah. Nurul dah bagi dah. Semua dah makan dah? Atika, Ani.
Dah, sir.
Puasa ke ni? Mana nak beritahu? Hari tu kita buat apa? Oh, cari kes Lepas tu, apa yang kita buat? Ni mereka ni link that decision. Oh, within that decision itself kan? Okay. So, baru 5 orang lagi. Dah sign attendance?
Dah, sir.
Dah, sir.
So, how's your other works, papers, progress, apa semua okay? Things, with your other papers. How many papers you ambil? 7 kan?
Ya, sir. 7.
7 Wow. Okay. So, assignment semua dah hantar lah untuk 7 tu.
Some due date this 30th.
Oh, delay to 30th because yalah, kali ni semester ni memang tak ada break, mampus. You all ada discuss about break that 1 week, tak ada? With other lecturers?
Bukan suppose kita ada ni ke, sir? Apa, semester break ke?
Tak ada.
8 bulan.
8 bulan?
30.
Aha. 30 sampai 8?
30 sampai 6 lah kan?
30 sampai 6.
Mm-mm.
30 sampai 6. Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 30 sampai 7 lah. Ni 30 hari Monday. Oh. Okay. Oh, iyalah 30 sampai 6 lah. Maksudnya Monday tu jalan balik kan? 7 bulan. Oh, I macam tak tahu je.
Nanti saya buat kelas pula.
Betul lah. Kata, weh, mana you all? I duduk tunggu ni. Seorang tak masuk. COVID dah semakin banyak noh. Risau. My father-in-law kena pakai band. My mother-in-law kena pakai band. The whole family kena pakai band dekat apa? Apa orang panggil ni? Padang Rengas.
Pada Rengas, Mazli Malik kan?
Macam mana?
Kawasan apa? YB Mazli Malik kan? Padang Rengas.
Bukan. Si siapa Padang Rengas? YB. YB Padang Rengas siapa? Nazri. Nazri ya?
Nazri Aziz.
Siapa?
Saya tak
Nazri
silap.
ya.
Mazli
Nazri
Malik.
Aziz. Ya. I'm not familiar with politician sangat. All of them. Semua mengarut je.
Wristband kena pakai not from Sabah je ke sir?
Macam mana?
Yang wristband yang kena pakai tu maksudnya semua kawasan ke ataupun yang
No.
daripada
Semua
Sabah je?
kawasan yang mana yang suspek ada simptom disebabkan dia pergi masjid sembahyang Jumaat. So the whole masjid punya kariah tu yang on that day kena maksudnya kena buat swab. Bila check swab dia akan pakai gelang lah, quarantine.
Oh, untuk screening sajalah dia kena pakai.
Screening tapi dia pakai gelang tu lah just to monitor kan. Tapi you have to self quarantine lah.
Okay.
Dia macam my neighbor tu memang dia orang pakai gelang quarantine and then discovered lepas dia orang check kata kena and then dia orang tu datang ambil.
Okay.
Alright, dah ada 15. I think we can proceed now, no? Hari tu kita dah start dengan grup mana? Satu grup pun tak start lagi.
Tak, sir.
Okay, right. Shall we start dengan grup 1? Siapa group 1? Ada tak members of group 1 kat dalam ni?
Ada, sir.
Sekejap, saya Dr. Asyik nak kena kena nak admit orang masuk. Tidak dia kalau saya pergi ke sini terus belah sana dah tak boleh masuk. Okay, kalau kita tengok group 1, you have a case Dudley Stephen ya. So the judge in that case, okay, fine. Then name of the juries, okay, you have Kalbi Lin and then link to that. Okay, how do you link? Can you justify number 3 and number 4?
Link, sir.
Ya, Dini. Kenapa you all punya suara tak kuat? Ada kuat lah. Okay, Dini?
So maknanya dia punya Carly Lynn punya teori dengan kes yang kita orang
Sat. Dini, the rest dengar ke suara Dini?
Dengar tu.
dengar sir.
Saya yang tak dengar. Telinga dah berat dah ni. Okay, right Dini.
So nak saya linkkan connection between Carl punya teori dengan kes ni.
Yes. You nampak tak I punya screen sekarang?
Yes, sir.
Nampak screen I?
Ya.
Okay. This is your your work kan? So now you mentioned that Llewellyn believe that the legal rules are just paper rules. And then apa lagi? Dia kata he did not think that the legal rules on the case law precedent and it had any effect in the controlling the judges. Can you explain that?
Sebab in our case, in this case the paper rules is that when there is necessity, a crime can be excused. And then and then that general rule is used in the case of United States and Holmes, but it was not used in that case sebab judge tu buat dia punya judgement sendiri yang there is no such thing as necessity to commit a crime.
Okay, kejap Dini I kena cari telinga juga. Tak dengar kejap. Okey Dini.
Belum balik sir.
Tak. Okey, ada dengar So, jadi paper rules you kata sini fail because legal rules are made flexible for future application. Maksudnya?
Maksudnya the judges have their own discretion untuk nak tentukan the case that yang diorang dapat.
Okey. Tak faham. Dia macam mana dia?
Macam in this case kan paper rules dia adalah necessity can be used as an excuse for any crime committed. So in this case, the accused killed a boy named Richard Parker for the necessity to be to stay alive.
Tak nampak lah. Any of the group member yang ada masalah to understand? Remember, Dini punya presentation or the group one punya presentation is to be able to benefit you. If you don't benefit from the presentation just because you are more concerned about your group punya presentation, it is meaningless lah. Okay. Or can I ask you a question then?
Sir, can I try to explain balik apa yang
okay,
we are
right.
in group? Right. So based on this case, we understand that the general rule where the court refer in this case is in Stephen Digest of Criminal Law Article 2, where it stated that necessity will excuse an act which would otherwise be a crime as applied in case United States and homeless. So maksudnya berdasarkan general rule that yang kami refer as paper rule ni is general rule kalau a crime, seseorang penjenayah itu commit murder under necessity, it is permissible.
Kalau seseorang penjenayah tu, kalau seseorang membunuh,
if a crime committed under an avoidable necessity, it is permissible.
It is permissible,
Yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah, itu general rule.
Meaning macam self-defense. Are you talking about self-defense?
Yeah, it's called exception. So macam if the lawyer are to predict the decision of the court, the lawyer would see, the court, the judge mungkin akan permit the act that committed by the crime.
If you follow the law literally, then that person must be punished lah.
Yes. No.
Okay.
Sorry, sebab apa yang kita orang faham macam Lelowi ni dia nak cakap kalau judge, kalau lawyer dia kena predict decision of the judge. If they are to apply this principle, the lawyer would foresee, can predict the decision of the court since the one who commit the crime is because they under necessity. So dimaafkan. So judge akan, okay, kita lepaskan this penjenayah macam tu. Itu yang the lawyer would predict decision of the judge.
Tapi prediction of the lawyer is basically trying to agak-agak lah kan?
Yes.
However,
yeah, but the one who will decide at last is the judge itself.
Obviously lah kan, and tu memang obvious. Tapi we are talking about legal rules are just paper rules. What does it mean by that?
Yes, that's why the judge in this case dia tak follow pun yang general rule tu, dia come up with its own decision, which is it's under paper rule kan?
Yeah. No, dia bukan paper rule. It is their decision. Legal rules means it is just paper rule, something that is written. Maksudnya anything that is stated, you don't follow actually. You don't have to follow.
Okay, yang tak follow tu judge lah kan sir?
Yang tak follow dia lah, because at the end of the day, siapa yang buat undang-undang, according to them, American realism, dia kata judges yang buat undang-undang kan. So judges buat undang-undang bukannya semesti refer kepada apa yang paper rules cakap. So kalau nak refer kepada paper rules sahaja, then they are bound to that paper rules, but they are saying that we are not.
Okay.
Kalau the rest nampak tak?
So, kalau macam orang nak kata judge tu ikut konsep real rule boleh ke sir? Sebab macam dia tak follow the paper rule, the statute itself.
Dia tengok real rule maksudnya dia you have to define what do you mean by real rules.
Oh, okay, sekejap sir.
Kalau you kata real rules tu maksudnya you are looking at the facts of the case, right? If you're looking at the facts of the case, which is similar to the paper rules, but the decision that the judge buat tu adalah bertentangan dengan apa yang ada dekat paper rules. So why he has done that? Because in order to give justice kan. So you tak semestinya katalah orang perempuan tu mencuri mencuri susu untuk nak bagi anak dia, you know. Then she was caught and then bawa pergi depan judge, apa yang judge buat? Kalau judge ikut okey. Judge cakap
Decide ikut dia punya dia tak akan ikut betul-betul law tu lah.
Kalau judge yang jenis strict tu, dia akan tak kira lah, hantar lah kan. I mean, the paper rule says you are not supposed to steal. So I don't care whether you steal on because you lapar ke apa, but you steal. So dia akan punish. But there are certain judges, kalau ikut American juries, paper rules are just paper rules, you know. They are not binding to the judges. So the judges can make any decision that contradicts with the paper rules. If the decision is to give justice, proper justice to the accused ataupun the person involved lah. Ya, dia kata macam mana paper rules ni fail because dia tak ada flexibility, you know. Paper rules ni dia because the lawmaker doesn't know about the law. The one that knows about the law is the one that apply the law, which is the judges. So only judges knows what needs to be done. So nampak di sini paper rule fails as judges may not want to apply the rules. Ya. Kalau kita tengok law of torts, the active rule of the judges because there is no paper rules. So maybe paper rules in the sense that binding precedent and things like that.
Sir. Lepas tu kita orang link kan, kita orang kata
Ya. Aziah ke siapa ni? Intan. Okay, right. Kalau kita tengok kes. Macam mana Intan? Sorry, I ganggu you.
Tak apa.
Tak apa, you were saying just now?
Kita orang link kan dengan kes ni, kita orang kata yang judge dalam kes ni dia ikut real rule instead of paper rule. Tu je lah kita orang link.
Dekat mana real rules tu? Then you tengok ratio desidenda ni, the case you cut and paste kan? So dekat mana? This is the facts kan? Kalau tengok ni is about the facts. The facts found that no. Okay. So dekat mana yang dia punya argument saying that I don't want to follow the decision.
Kita orang tak ambil yang tu sir. Kita orang letak paper rule-nya.
Yang screenshot yang ni ke?
Because dia punya decision dekat mana? Dekat mana? Siapa nak cakap tadi? Yang ni?
Yang ni
Yang ni lah yang dia punya tu. They might possibly has picked up the next day and passing ship. They might possibly not been picked up at all. Either case, it is obvious that killing the boy would have been unnecessary and profitless act. Okay, so dalam ni relate macam mana? They kill that person under pressure of necessity kan?
They actually claim that they kill based on necessity.
Okay.
But there is no necessity to kill anyone.
So jadi the decision was made untuk macam mana? The court kata apa?
The court kata the accused bersalah.
The accused?
Bersalah, guilty of murder.
Kat mana yang contradiction dia tu?
Contradiction?
A crime committed under unavoidable necessity is excusable. So kat mana ya you kata dia punya decision tu, the ratio tu? Because this one is to justify the act that they have done. Ni bukan case yang if I'm not mistaken, because they kill for the act of surviving kan. Ni makan makan daging kawan dia orang.
Yes, sir, because they are stranded on the sea.
On the sea kan. Okay, right. So jadi in this situation, because the decision you kata kat sini, it is excusable for them to do that.
No, because court said that the act of killing of the boy does not fall under necessity.
Okay. So where is the law that contradicts apa yang court kata?
Yang
Dekat atas
Digest.
tu, the first picture.
Kat mana?
Stephen Digest,
Criminal law article 32, necessity. So there was the argument used by them, necessity, and then the argument is that the court is saying that they might have been picked up by a passing ship either today or the next day. So that does not mean that there is a reason for you to kill that person.
Yes, sir.
Boleh. Okay, boleh. Okay, keyword there adalah necessity, right? So they were being charged for a crime, and their defense is by virtue of necessity that they have to kill in order for them to survive. But the ratio says that you might have been picked up by a passing ship, either today or tomorrow, or maybe in some other days. So that does not in either case, it is obvious, or maybe you might not be picked up at all. But in this case, it is obvious that the killing of the boy would be unnecessary and profitless act. So kalau yang kapal the next day dapat selamatkan dia orang, that killing is meaningless lah kan, because they are going to be safe. So if you put that probability of whether that you are going to be safe or not into the decision of killing, then it does not make any sense. Okay, so argument of necessity is not accepted. Okay, boleh? Okay. Boleh lah.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Tapi I think the better one is to get a law that they have to follow, meaning the judges have to follow. If you produce a law that the judges on paper have to follow, and the judges did not follow that paper rules but choose another decision, itu yang kita nak tengok tu.
ada.
Ada kat mana?
Yang United States and Homes ni, dia dah ikut dah. Tak sure tadi dekat screenshot yang sama.
Ni.
Dekat atas.
Okay.
And then dekat baris 3 dari bawah.
In the American case, kejap I baca. The proposition that the passenger may be true. Oh, okay. Alright, right. Okay, boleh lah. Kita boleh kata the paper rules based on the decision of the previous cases talks about the proposition that the passenger may be thrown overboard to save others. Okay. Right. Okay lah, boleh lah. You have to highlight this one first, to state what is the law, and then you want to state the what they call it, the ratio descendant of the judge into making a decision that is conflicting to the general rule that is being stated by the law. Okay, boleh? The rest macam mana? Boleh faham tak this particular case? Remember, you might want to utilize this case in your exam. Macam mana? Any question, any comment, or any opinion? Guys?
Faham, sir.
Faham Okay, good. Alright. So group 2. This one is clear lah Donahue and Stevenson. What is the group 2? Siapa? Member?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Siapa tu? Naim siapa? Naim lagi?
Natasha,
Natasha.
Azlin.
Azlin Okay. So, macam mana cerita nombor 3 dengan nombor 4?
Carl Llewellyn and Oliver Wendell Holmes. So in this case, the first I'm going to explain on Carl Llewellyn. I'm going to relate with the decision of the case. In this case, Lord Atkin concludes the case by forming a formula of Nebel principle, whereby Lord Atkin tries to decide the case not based on the law but making his own judgment based on the case before him. This should relate to the paper rules and real rules principle by Carl Llewellyn, where he believed statutes and precedents as a mere paper rule, meanwhile real rules must be discovered by court. The Nebel principle laid down in this case can be related to the principle of real rules by Llewellyn, which stated the decision of a court, the case will be made by discovery of the court based on facts and argument laid down in the case. So in this case, we can see the development in thought where Nebel principle was established, because based on previous case, Marlin and Attorney General Barr, it is decided that in an absence of a contract, a manufacturer owed no duty of care to a consumer when putting a product on a market. But in this case, the Nebel principle developed where Lord Atkin decided that there does not need to be a contractual relationship for a duty to establish.
Okay, good.
And manufacturers owe a duty to consumers who they intend to use their product.
Di mana dia punya contract rules tu?
Meaning, sir?
In what case you mentioned just now?
Marlin and AG Bar.
Okay, so can you explain the relationship of contract and liability?
Okay, so in contract, in this case, at first, Mrs. Donahue tried to claim in contract, but because of the privity of contract, her friend, it is actually her friends that bought the beer.
Okay,
So
good.
she failed.
Okay.
So
Bila you mention contract, now you're bringing in contract law into answering it. So
yes.
contract law, we are talking about there is no contract because she was not the person who bought that ginger ale, betul tak?
Yep.
So therefore she is not having privity to the contract.
Yep.
Privity to the contract means what? Ada law
between two person who
tak,
contract.
nama Latin dia apa dia? Locus standi.
Locus standi, okay.
Dia, maksudnya kalaulah kata contract kan, kita contract law means anyone who did not involve in the contract itself, they don't have privity to the contract, right?
Yep.
And if you are privity to the contract, therefore you don't have any locus lah.
Yep.
You don't have any legal standing. Your argument should be in that you present the law in terms of the paper rule. So the paper rule is like this. Yeah, the real rules, however, is different. Okay, so therefore you can compare between the paper rules and the real rules, whereby real rules is about the impact of the consumer when they are the one that is consumed, but they do not purchase the product. So it applies until today lah. Okay, that is a very good example lah in this case, that you can, it is clearly can be used in your exam. Sama dengan yang tadi juga, group 1 punya. It is how you elaborate. First, guys, you must make sure that you present the paper rule. You're stating the law on paper. Law on paper is like this, but law in terms of the application of the judge, which contradicts to the paper law that is stated, is different, and then you have to explain why. Okay, so
Yes.
that is the answer lah, and then you masuk balik lah. Here you can comment, you can comment and saying that here it is clearly stated, clearly can be seen that the principle of Llewellyn is adopted by the court. Okay.
Okay.
So okay, the second one.
Second one will be presented by Naim.
Naim, okay, Naim.
Assalamualaikum, good evening everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Ni grup bawah ni sini. Oliver Holmes.
Yes. So to introduce that, basically Oliver Holmes, Carl Llewellyn are both American realists. They are both judges. So according to Oliver Holmes, the life of the law is experience, not logic. This is supported by the present case, where Lord Atkin, in formulating the neighbor principle, related to his life experience as a Christian that taught him to love thy neighbor, which he took example from. He considered that what will happen to him if he commits a certain wrong. Thus, he sees that negligence is a wrongful act. So basically, what we like to highlight over here is that the fact that the real life experience of the judge plays a role in him coming to a decision to enact or to create a law. So as noted in the case, in England there was no precedent as to negligence. This is the landmark case. So in formulating the neighbor principle, Lord Atkin, he referred to biblical scriptures where it teaches, where in the Christian faith, it teaches one of the main tenets is that to love thy neighbor. So he adopts this and applying it as something that is a form to him as a universal good, applying it to his judgment in this particular circumstance and formulating the neighbor principle that you have a duty of care and you should not breach this duty of care, and if you breach this duty of care, then you are to be held responsible.
Okay, good. But you mentioned something that is not in the written form. Where is the universal? Because that is the key word. You're talking about natural law, kan? If you're talking about natural law, Juris 1, remember, if you're talking about natural law, something that is prevailing in the universe, right? Something that you can logic. It's not logic, you can reason out. Because they kata ni kan, so you can reason out by virtue of universality of that concept. So the universality of the concept is related to the religious punya, what they call it, religious punya thought lah, yeah. So here I am looking at the missing element of universality, you know, the common, you know, the word that you mentioned just now. Remember that you mentioned just now? You mentioned about universality, kan?
Yes.
You have to relate the life experience with universality.
Okay. So why I said universality is that if I may direct the attention to the excerpt that we put beneath the proof of the American Juris Ratio Decidendi, under per Lord Atkin, he does not explicitly explain or use the word universal. However, it is repeated again and again that you must not injure your neighbor. And who is my neighbor? So why I use the word universal is that this neighbor can be anyone. It doesn't matter if he is what race, culture, religion. This person is your neighbor, and a neighbor is a neighbor regardless of whatever it is. So that is my reasoning why I said the word universal.
So if you want to put universal as an experience that everyone can reason out, remove the Christian element. Okay. If you want to go along that line, is universal, irrespective whether you are which religion, you know. Then if you are talking about which religion, might not be any religion, will never have any religion, then the word Christian here must be removed, because Christian is talking about the neighbor principle that is mentioned by Atkin.
Kurang paham sikit, sir.
Okay. So, because you mentioned about universality, kan? So something that is common that everyone can reason out when it comes to experience, you know. Anyone who bought something, obviously they will pass it to somebody else untuk nak makan, kan? Dia mesti bagi dekat orang lain, betul tak? if you are in that position, you beli barang, takkan you nak minum jus orang, you akan bagilah. Kalau you are a parent, you know, you beli untuk family you, untuk anak-anak you. So by experience, you know that the product that you purchase mesti nak bagi dekat orang lain. Betul tak?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that itself is a universal punya concept. Everyone, anyone who purchase, they you know, mestilah in that.
So it's not a uniquely Christian value lah. That is what you mean lah, sir. So
Because dalam Islam pun ada, dalam Jew pun ada, dalam I think India pun ada. It's just a matter of kita tak dig, you know.
So proper word would be a religious experience.
Ataupun macam ni, Naim, you tambah life experience that is universal, and on top of that you letak the Christian element, talking about the goodness of a person to do something towards their neighbor. Because in the first one tak ada mention about religious punya approach. This is more of a contractual punya relationship, and this is law. Okay, this is more towards law, where the law says if you are not having contract, therefore you have no local standard, therefore you cannot claim. However, the other one that you can also relate to reinforce the first one is by saying that it is a universal experience, and everyone can reason out why whenever they buy something, obviously they will share with somebody else. Ni ada satu universal, boleh tanda sini satu. Satu, sini on experience, and then you letak number 2 is the Christian perspective. Because 1 and 2 kalau you campur, they both are natural law. This is purely law. Okay, the number 1 is purely law. For the rest, number 2 is about something that is natural law. So combination of 1 and 2 is the one that makes the decision towards the Mrs. Donahue. Macam mana, Naim? What do you think?
Faham. I mean, yeah. Saya setuju yang every religion memang teach to do good. So that's why I letak as universal, sebab I did see it as a unique experience to that particular religion lah.
Betul. So you combine dalam you punya second argument ni pecah pada A and B. So number 1 is based on experience, not logic. Obviously any experienced person buying a product, dia mesti dah tahu apa yang nak akan buat kan. And then the second one is about the religious punya approach. I think better in that sense.
Alright, thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. Right. Now the third group. Any question for the first group and the second group for the rest? Allah. Okay, no question. Oh, ada chat ni. Slow sikit. Naim. Alright. Group 3. Macam mana? Ryland fracture. Okay, good. Right. Tolong. Can you explain? Yeah, can we have group 3? Ada tak representative of group 3 dalam kelas? Ramai yang ada sini kan? 25. We have Assalamualaikum. Tak apa, it's okay. Don't worry of making mistakes. Kita pun nak belajar ni. Right.
Okay, so we decided to choose on Holmes punya teori, where Holmes cakap the judges shall perceive cases and deliver their judgment from a bad man's point of view. So the judges shall interpret the meaning of law not methodologically, but instead the possibility of punishment that imposed upon the offender.
Okay,
so dalam case ni korang decide untuk guna the Batman theory, where the judge in this case cakap the person who for his own purpose bring on his lands and collects and keeps there anything likely to do mischief, if it escapes, must keep it his spirit, and if he does not do so, is prima facie answerable for all damage, which is the natural consequence of his escape. So daripada situ, kita orang decide that the judge had adopted the approach found by Holmes, that is, one should view it through the eyes of a Batman who does not care the method in which the court applies in reaching a decision, but who is only concerned with what will happen to him if he commits a certain wrong.
Okay, good.
The judge had applied the predictive approach that was introduced by Holmes, since the judge decides that the defendant will be imposed with liability without finding a fault, where the claimant needs to prove the defendant was the tortfeasor and the tort occurred. Dalam kes ni, the judge didn't look into precedents and mechanical reasoning to understand what was really going on, and it can be seen in this case where he disregard the existing thought theories in making his judgment. So dalam kes ni dia introduce strict liability approach.
Okay, the rest. I want the rest. I'm happy with the answer. How about the rest? If you want to use the Batman theory, this is one example that you can utilize the example, but the thing is you want to be able to understand. So the key element here is to understand how to apply the Batman theory. If you are able to understand what Izzaz was saying just now, then okay lah. But I'm worried about the rest. Macam mana? I mean group 3 dah tahu dah macam mana nak pakai Batman theory. Izzaz is waiting for him to be able to explain to anyone who doesn't understand about how to utilize the Batman theory dalam case ni. Yeah, because this is going to be your authority that you are going to use in exam. So might as well, kalau dah tahu dah case ni yang you nak pakai Batman theory, you know, as an example, might as well you understand the concept, how to write. Tak faham? This is the time for you to ask.
Izzaz boleh repeat balik tak?
Good. Macam tu lah Aina. I mean, you don't get it, but now, okay, that I can use this. Okay, Izzaz, tolong. You repeat back.
Repeat yang mana?
They repeat the whole thing. So now Ryland and Fletcher, obviously everyone knows that it is strict liability kan. The rule is already there. However, Izzat punya group, you wanted to apply Oliver Wendell Holmes punya approach, Batman theory, right? So how do you apply that? Ulang balik.
Teori ni, judge tengok dekat orang yang menyebabkan.
Izzat, sorry, you kena cakap seolah-olah you explain dekat dia orang, your friends, macam dia. Kadang-kadang I ni cakap benda orang tak faham because kita ada age gap. So kalau you nak cerita dekat your friends, it is not about telling me but telling your friends. Macam mana you nak cerita dekat your friends? Nak bagi dia orang faham. Sekarang dia orang tak faham. I faham. Macam mana you nak bagi dia orang faham? Kakak je. Yes, Izzat.
Bukan Sir, Anip.
Anip, okay, Anip.
Okay, Batman teori ni sebenarnya macam mana judge tu kena view a law according to the Batman view itself. So maknanya Batman ni only case for the consequence which will enable him to predict the punishment for his act. Not ada certain things such as whether it is immoral or not.
Takut dia orang the rest of the group nanti ada members of the group yang ada kat dalam ni pening bila you letak morality apa semua tu. Tadi yes.
Is that mean the judge tu kena be a Batman, kena letak his position in Batman ke macam kena
tadi Izzat dah cakap dah. Izzat
judge tu kena decide case tu based on apa yang actually this person buat. apa yang dia kena punish. Maksudnya betul lah letak diri dia in the Batman's punya position.
Okay.
Sebab
Okay,
dia
okay, continue. Bagus.
that we look at the consequence on what that the Batman punya act lah. Macam tu.
Cakap Melayu simple kan, bagi simple. Something that is able for your friends to understand.
Macam ni kan ada Batman and
Tak dengar. Siapa ni?
Oh, Anis. Oh, tak dengar?
Kuat sikit.
Hello?
Anis, kuat sikit.
Okay. Kalau Batman theory ni, kalau ikut Batman, kita tengok kalau Batman dia buat sesuatu sebab dia tengok on the consequences of that activity. Kalau contoh kalau dia buat, kalau contoh dia langgar kontrak, dia tengok, kalau contoh dia tak langgar kontrak, dia akan tengok sebab kalau dia langgar kontrak, dia akan dapat penalty. But then if a good man, dia orang akan buat sesuatu benda disebabkan dia orang rasa benda tu betul. Memang morally it's a just action. So a good man, kalau dia orang tak langgar kontrak adalah sebab dia rasa by langgar kontrak ialah by langgar kontrak akan menyebabkan it is not a moral thing to do.
Izzat, macam mana? Ini siapa ni? Allah Akbar. Anis buat statement ke? Anis buat tanya nak clarification? You are in the same group
Yes.
Okay. Batman theory macam mana Izzat tadi dia kata?
Batman theory dia buat sesuatu based on sebab dia takut ada penalty.
Okay.
Tapi kalau good man, dia buat sesuatu tu sebab memang dia rasa benda tu morally right.
Alright. So jadi apa yang dia orang akan buat? Apa yang Batman theory nak?
Jadi kalau Batman theory ni kalau yang dekat kes ni, di kes Ryan and Fletcher ni, through that Batman theory lah dia orang buat strict liability.
Bukan. Macam mana tu? Okay, okay, right. Macam mana tu? Can you elaborate? The rest macam mana? Faham tak? Aina, you all faham?
Sir.
Yes. Siapa?
Nak tanya. Atika.
Okay, good.
Contoh kan kalau a person ni dia kena tangkap sebab dia kena commit macam mana, dia kena tangkap sebab dia tuduh membunuh. Tapi actually dia buat self defense sebab the other person tu, orang yang mati kena bunuh tu macam try nak bunuh dia dan dia ada pistol apa semua. Jadi dia bunuh that person sebab dia rasa danger kat diri dia sendiri lah. Jadi maksudnya judge boleh buat judgement based on Batman theory ni, macam kata orang ni membunuh sebab dia nak self defense diri dia sendiri apa semua.
Because dia macam ni, bila you letak orang tu, bila you tengok any pesalah, okay, in any court of law, and kalau you dah di charge as bersalah, apa yang you punya outcome sekarang? Apa yang you nak sebenarnya? Kalau you dah dituduh, apa yang you nak sekarang?
Justice.
No. Apa outcome yang you nak?
Dituduh nak pembelaan.
Bukan. You don't worry about what is happening in the court, masuk court mana, masuk prosedur mana, ada lawyer yang bagus untuk nak defend you. Apa yang you penting dalam hati you sebenarnya?
Nak lepas.
Nak apa?
Nak lepas.
Nak lepas. Yes, good. Any orang jahat, dia dalam intention dia memang dia nak lepas. It's not about orang yang baik ni dia akan nak tengok justice lah, apalah, you know, equality, fairness. No, orang jahat dia tak nak, dia nak lepas je. Maksudnya a quick solution to the problem. Kan? A quick good solution to the problem. Sebab dia jahat. You know, the same thing apply dengan the court lah. Kalaulah the court is being faced by a problem, you know, they have to take the approach of the Batman theory in order for them to have a quick answer to that particular problem. If you go along the process of if you go along the process of what they call it negligent, it will be so tedious. Nak prove duty, nak prove breach, nak prove damage, you know, it is so tedious because Ryland and Fletcher is a case yang shortcut, you know, a shortcut as compared to negligent. You know, negligence is so far away, you know, so far for a person to establish duty, establish breach, establish damage, you know, it is very difficult. So, in order to settle this particular problem, the judge apply a Batman theory, meaning how to solve this problem in a very quick manner. That is what the approach is, lah. You know, trying to get the best solution. And why the best solution is needed? Not a proper decision, a proper process of the decision, but a quick process of the decision. A quick decision, not the process, but the decision itself is straight away. So how? And then they come up with the you must not be taking some thing that is going to likely do mischief, kan? So in this case, that particular water that is maintained, escape and then it cause damages to somebody else. You should foresee that. Nampak semua sama sebiji macam negligent, tapi bukan. It is a strict liability. Therefore, the new formula that the court came out with is to have a quick solution to a problem that is by right to be settled under negligence. Ya, strict liability lain kan dengan negligent. Can you see the difference? Strict liability is very straightforward. Dia shortcut. Dia bila nampak shortcut dia bila nampak Batman theory dah. Because Batman theory dia tak kira apa dah. Dia nak solution dia. Solution dia ialah dia menang. Sama dengan the court. So court as long as they can settle it as soon as possible, the best possible way, the shortest way, then it's okay. Boleh nampak?
Okay, sir. Thank you, Group 3.
Group 3, okay ya. The rest, bila tengok Ryland Fletcher ni boleh pakai untuk your final kalau soalan keluar untuk American realism. Next group. 3.50 dah. Okay, I think I have to go. I tak solat lagi. Sorry. Can we continue this next week?
Sir.
Yeah. Naim, yes. Naim? Hello? Naim, you were saying something? So kalau tak ada, so I think we end the session today. We'll continue next week. Yeah?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Sir.
Tolong keluar semua. I nak
sorry sir. Sebab nak tanya soalan tadi tapi tak apalah. Nanti je tanya soalan. Saya nak solat
nanti UPM Nanti UPM
Hello.
Nanti UPM
Tak apa sir. Saya belum solat lagi. So
okay, nanti UPM Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.